Hey, how we doing? Social media, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and all the other social outlets. Good brother David coming back at you again with my last video. Yeah, uh, I have a very short video life. I find myself not to be a commercial type of person, so I thought it would be uh, expedient for me to make this my last video. Um, Once again, having some knowledge, I'm thinking that uh, who am I preaching to or who am I teaching to? I'll be caught up in between two lines. One is that of the carnal Christian, and the other is that of the person of the world. So, having been on both of those two stages in my life and in my spiritual walk, I understand both. And I understand the destination for, or the direction that when I was in the world and or a carnal Christian, what direction I had to take in order to put myself in a situation of safety with God. So, um, the only thing that could be offered at this stage is elevation of faith. The faith to bring you out of the world into a faith, and then to take that faith from one level of glory to another. And the mechanism that does that is the Holy Spirit. Once again, I'm sharing with y'all another one of my shirts. I got a black one and I got a white one. The Holy Spirit life matters too. Kind of mirror the movement that the country is going through and the world is going through with the Black Lives Matter. I think the underlining physical things that we're experiencing in the world has a spiritual cause to them. And until we address the cause, we won't change the effects. Now, with that being said, and what I have to offer about the worldly people in the carnal Christian or the lukewarm churches or whatever stage those churches may be on, and these churches levels are prophesied in Revelation. Um, we can only go from one level of glory to another with the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit takes us from the world into the assembly of Christ, which means church. But assembly mean a group of people. That could be a select group of people, not necessarily the large group of people that we call Christians, which number 2 billion plus people in the world. It's not necessarily that group of people, although those denominations try to find the true significance of Christ. I believe it also says that Satan has led the whole world astray. And you have to factor in Christianity as one of those worldly systems that may be astray on a large scale. So, I'm going to say a couple of things, and as I said, it's going to be my last video, and I'm going to sum this up with what I believe God has to offer the worldly person and the carnal Christian is in this spiritual dispensation, which I must say and add, meaning that the grace of God is free to all men, women, and children on the planet Earth at this time. The Holy Spirit dwells within. Each and every man and person on this earth can receive the Holy Spirit at this time. Jew, Gentile, or other, it doesn't matter. Nobody's special or specific at this time. God's Spirit is being poured out on all mankind. So, if you want a piece of that action, what I would say to you is that whether you're in the world or whether you're in a church and that church is not going in the direction of the Holy Spirit, that you set some time out to pray to God and ask God to direct you with His Holy Spirit to Christ. That's the way it would go. Another couple of things I want to say to you is that we may be facing a famine pretty soon. And we kind of had a precursor to that with the coronavirus thing, and how supplies went very quickly, and the supply and demand chain kind of fell apart. To this day, you see certain things are not even back on the shelf. So imagine when something like that happened with food or water, our vital necessities to sustain our life, physical life here on earth. So, I've been advised to at least stock at least 90 days worth of dry food that you can eat without water, and water that you can drink from that, one of the regular inlets or outlets of water, because the water could be poisoned or damaged to the point where it's undrinkable. So, and you can also find ways to purify your water as well. You're going to have to do that if we try to cook with water that may not be as purified or normal as the normal water we've been using. So you got to think about those two necessities. And another thing about in a famine is masses are not going to make a difference. The only mass you're going to probably have to face is somebody being masked up at your door or at your stockpile trying to get your food because they failed to be like a squirrel and plant their nuts into a tree base where they can find them for the winter months and stuff like that. So people are going to be, they're going to need protection in a famine. It's different from when you're in a pandemic. Every situation calls for certain measures. So the things that we needed in the pandemic, which we seen that our government and all the worldly organizations weren't prepared. So imagine in a famine. You see what I'm saying? You had the time and the resources now to put yourself in a position to pretty much save your family, friends, family, and loved ones from situations like this by researching information and finding out what's coming and what's going, and pretty much using your resources to kind of try to save your own life. It's better than sitting back and doing nothing and waiting on the government, which we see are not very fast at reacting to the people's necessities. I mean, we put them in office and look what they do. So if you feel like the government gonna look out for you, go ahead and wait on that and see if it's some cheese left when the famine hit. With that being said, I think I'm about to wrap up. I think I've said the most important thing about this spiritual dispensation that we in, the church age, the age of grace, and that God's Spirit is available, God's Holy Spirit is available to all mankind, and that if you're in a church and that church is not going in the right direction, ask God to guide you through His Holy Spirit to Christ. If you're in the world and you don't believe in God, or you do believe a little bit but just don't go to church, don't feel bad. I came out of the world. It's no problem. God can pull you in from any part of the planet Earth. The song goes, He got the whole world in His hand. He can pull you right in. It don't matter. It don't matter what you're doing, drugs, alcohol, addiction, the shame you under, the depression you under, the abuse you under, the aggression you under. God can pull you right into His family in the blink of a light. I don't want to sell you no story. I'm telling you the facts of my life. He can pull you right out of whatever it is you're into. He can put a shield around you. He can put a beachhead around you. He can protect you from all the evil in the world and others. But the one thing I want to share with you before I go is this. If you ask for God's Holy Spirit to come into your life and direct and guide your life, it's going to take away your thinking capacity, because the Holy Spirit controls all the people, places, and things that come into your life anyway. So everything that come around is going to be controlled by the Holy Spirit. You don't have to think about it. I know we find that kind of alien for our minds to not think about something, but it's unnecessary at that time. So that's one of the biggest culture shocks of having the Holy Spirit come into your life, is your thinking is going to be pushed to the back. Then you're going to lose some family, friends, and loved ones, because they may not have the Spirit in them. They do have a human spirit, but they may not have the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is what it says. It requires that we be holy. So therefore we must be sanctified, purified, and clean and whole in order for us to get back into our perfect relationship with God through Christ. So it's going to take you on a journey to purify you. And that journey is not mystified. What happens is what always happens. The things in your life, you'll be faced with those things several times, and how you react to those things is what changed the patterns that are in your subconscious mind. And how you react to, let's say, this person that you see all the time and they upset you, and you might either curse out at that person or you may hold it in, but the reaction has to change. It has to change from a more aggressive and attacking and negative attitude to a more positive attitude. Therefore, your reaction change, and then every time you see that person, you're able to walk by them. You don't feel the same way. You feel better about the person. You may even start speaking to the person. You may even start blessing the person in your thoughts and in your heart. And that's how you change those things that the Holy Spirit will present to you. You have a different reaction to them. You have your good reaction, your bad reaction. So you start giving off a good reaction to these things, people, places, and things. And that's how the Holy Spirit changes you. It gives you the strength to, it gives you strength where you're weak at in your personality to get past those situations, those people, places, and things, and situations, circumstances, and conditions. That's what it does. And that's a practical understanding of what it does. You can go to the Bible and read in the Word how it operates. And a lot of times I don't approach the Bible directly. What I do is approach it through other people's experiences. And that's expedient for me because it gives me more direct understanding on my life, as opposed to try to understand it as it related to somebody 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago. And if you find a person that's walking in the Spirit and living the life through the Holy Spirit, you can get more direct experience and more influence from that person than, the Word as it relates to, not that the Word doesn't expire, but it takes time to understand the Word. That's the issue with the method that I'm suggesting to you. If you want to hasten that up, you want to fasten that up. But never neglect the Word. That's the wisdom of God here on earth. And probably the safest book you can read to pretty much understand the things that's going on around us at this time. And if you don't believe me, watch the world. When the world get into a situation, first thing they do is go back to the Word and come and say, this is why this plague happened because it happened to Pharaoh. And this is why this happened because it happened to the Tower of Babel. And it always refer back to the Word. Nothing else in the world is explaining these things to us. I mean, you have people that wrote books, but the motivation comes from reading the Word. So, with those things, I'm going to leave you. Peace be unto you, all my brothers and sisters, all people in the human family, black, brown, yellow, red, everybody. I hope I have delivered something that definitely helps someone else and their walk with God through His Holy Spirit towards His Christ or through His Christ. As I said, this will be my last video. I don't feel like this is the platform for this dialogue because it's going to be caught up in between two ears, either the carnal Christian or the worldly person. And the worldly person and the carnal Christian share the same mind, which is enmity towards God. So who am I preaching to? You see what I'm saying? But it is a remnant of people that I am trying to reach, and I want those people to reach out to me as well. So this is my final hope for this last video that I'm posting. Peace. Y'all take care. Brother David.